Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Ecker Geopolitics. The U.S. just sank 7 small Iranian boats as Iran launches attacks on UAE and ships in the Strait of Hormuz. The fight is picking up, and at the same time, Spencer Pratt is running for the California mayor. I think he's doing a great job running his campaign. It's actually quite amazing to watch. And at the same time, China has made announcements to Israel for the annexation of Lebanon and the genocide that we're seeing in Gaza. We're covering all the news. We're covering all the major headlines. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Support the information. Support the news. Ecker Geopolitics every night at 7 p.m. And if you're looking to grow your business, work with me at goldsharkmedia.com. And also, if you want to work with me in real estate, I am a real estate agent in Michigan. I will help you get your next real estate deal under the table, closed deal, and done. And so let's get that done. And without further ado, let's get right into the news. So yes, this is big. A lot of big stories that are developing today. It's huge. It's huge. Quite honestly, the Israeli attacks killed dozens within days of Lebanon despite the ceasefire. Israeli strikes on southern Lebanon killed 17 people on Monday. And of course, you're going to get paywalled. I love getting paywalled. That's the best. That's just what makes a pretty horrible... I just kind of hate that. But anyways, that happened. Gunfire between Secret Service and armed person briefly locks down in the White House. That's a big story that we've been seeing develop. This is pretty huge. The White House has briefly locked down Monday afternoon after the U.S. Secret Service officer exchanged gunfire with an armed individual nearby, the agent said. The person whose identity was unknown was shot at about 3:30 p.m. at 15th Street Southwest and Independence Avenue Southwest near the Washington Monument shortly after Vice President J.D. Vance passed by in a motorcade, according to the Secret Service. Our plainclothes officers and agents that consistently patrol the outer perimeter of the White House complex identified a suspicious individual that appeared to have a firearm, Secret Service Deputy Director Matthew C. Quinn said at the news conference. As that story is developing, we also have the Israeli issuing of new forced displacement orders in southern Lebanon. The wording covers more than 10 villages and towns, including several in the district of Nabati, that lie north of the Litani River. Israel's military has issued new displacement orders to residents in towns and villages in southern Lebanon, including areas beyond its current zone of occupation, despite a truce meant to halt fighting with the armed group Hezbollah. For your safety, you must evacuate your homes immediately and move toward the villages and towns by at least 1,000 meters into open areas. The Israeli military's Arabic language spokesman Avache Adre posted on X on Sunday. Women killed, children injured as Israel attacks Lebanon. Was Israel PM's Lebanon destruction video a snub to Trump? How is Israel replicating its Gaza tactics in Lebanon? And this was a big thing. Israel basically said, yeah, we want the Gaza model, is what they called it. So this is very striking. A lot of big things happening with oil, and this is how this is impacting the markets. Crude oil is at $104.90, while Brent crude is at $114.40, and then the Murban crude is at $107.30. So the entire geopolitical map and the geoeconomics here are being affected because this entire war in Iran is taking a hit on the United States. And this is a propaganda war, a war of attrition for the Iranians, and for Israel, this is the Greater Israel Project. This is their siege to conquer 7 nations within 5 years, which they are achieving. They only have Lebanon left, pretty much, and then they want to even move on to Turkey. Stock market today, oil rises, Dow falls on the fears of escalation in Hormuz, so that was definitely big. Investors started the week on edge, sending oil prices sharply higher and stocks lower as military tensions escalated in the Strait of Hormuz. Fighting in the Iran war flared for the first time in weeks as strikes on crucial United Arab oil port and several ships tested a shaky ceasefire. Brent crude, a global price gauge, rose 5.8% to $114.44 a barrel, the highest close for the most traded futures contract since June 2022. U.S. oil futures were up 4.4% to $106.42. So this is very, very striking. When we see all of this news, what does it make you think? At the end of the day, I think we are heading into a global economic collapse. I think there's going to be a black swan event to the likes of which we've never seen. Stock market today, Dow, S&P 500, NASDAQ slip, oil surges as Middle East attacks escalate. So again, U.S. stocks dropped on Monday as concerns about escalation in the Iran war eclipsed optimism stoked by strong quarterly earnings growth. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped nearly 1.1%, while the S&P 500 slipped 0.4%. The Nasdaq Composite dropped 0.2% after Wall Street stocks posted a strong finish last week. S&P 500 sitting strongly at $7,200.75. So as all of this chaos is happening, we are seeing the markets take the hit. We got a lot of big stories, a lot of big developments, and at the end of the day, this just happened also. Iran just attacked the UAE, 12 ballistic missiles, 3 cruise missiles, 4 drones, all intercepted so far. Tehran warned Abu Dhabi not to take any unwise actions. Apparently, Abu Dhabi's existence was unwise enough. A senior Iranian security force says Americans will be targeted if they move forward in the Strait of Hormuz. Project Freedom, launched today, is specifically about moving U.S. and commercial vessels through the same waterway. So, what are we seeing? Iran is not giving up the Strait of Hormuz. That is what we're seeing. We're seeing Trump playing a game of, manipulating the markets in a way to keep them, up, and at the same time balancing oil, keeping oil at a balanced price below $100. But that's not working. I think oil is going to easily hit over $100 a barrel, over $200 a barrel. I think that's obviously kind of where things are going. That's kind of my analysis and what I believe. And so again, this is footage from today. This is after the United States struck 7 Iranian vessels. This was Iran's retaliatory strikes on the UAE. So again, the UAE has been partnering with the United States, if you didn't know that, along with Saudi Arabia and those countries. Israel is not in a position of growth beside the fact that they are conquering Lebanon and using that as the Gaza model. China's also been responding to this entire thing, and we're going to be covering that with Alex Barnicoat's coverage here in a moment. Pretty wild, though. This is where the war has taken us. This is what your tax dollars are paying for. The question is the war going to be worth it? We already had the Strait of Hormuz before this entire war began. We already had all of this territory locked down and under our control, and whose control is it going to be under if we cannot regain the control? Well, it will be Israel, right? And so that's not good for the United States. Israel is going to become the central hub of trade in the Middle East if this continues. So this is what I missed over my 5-day vacation. That's why I had missed last week in all of the live streams. We were really covering a lot of what had happened, or I wasn't able to cover everything that happened. Trump's assassination attempt, that happened as well. And I actually posted an Instagram post that hit 1.3 million views. We went viral because I had asked, hey, who is Cole Allen? Who is this guy? And who is this Cole Allen who worked for Lockheed Martin? Or who's the Henry Martinez who tweeted Cole Allen on December 21st of 2023, and again, Henry Martinez worked for Lockheed Martin and NASA, okay? And then this same guy, Cole Allen, had also had projects working for NASA, and he was an engineer. And he was the guy who was let in the attempted assassin on Donald Trump. But then we also learned that there was a dog, basically the Secret Service dog, was basically told to stand down. So what's up with that? And so following that event, an individual was just shot by law enforcement near the Washington Monument. The White House was briefly locked down. This is the second major security incident in Washington in under 2 weeks. The last one was the Correspondence Dinner shooting. Something is happening to the political temperature in this country. 2 incidents, 2 weeks in one city. What is going on? So again, here's some footage of that. This is the aftermath. Shots fired near the Washington Monument, steps from the White House. U.S. Secret Service confirmed an officer-involved shooting at 15th Street and Independence Avenue. Witnesses reported hearing around 6 shots. This is likely assassination attempt, or you could say that this was maybe even a precursor to try to get Trump's ballroom further built. He's making a big deal about how the ballroom on the White House is really just not secure enough, allegedly. And so we need to be spending our tax dollars on that. So this is some coverage of the person shot near the Washington Monument on Fox 5, and this is from Fox 5 DC. Let's take a listen to this.
Shamari and Angie, we're here basically as close to the scene as you can get at Independence Avenue Southwest and 15th Street. You see behind me, you see a lot of flashing lights, a lot of vehicles, and eventually here you'll see what appear to be National Guardsmen. You have U.S. Park Police, D.C. Police, and this was first put out by the U.S. Secret Service, not identifying which agency the law enforcement officer works for who shot at somebody, but we believe, according to what they're telling us, one One person was shot. We don't know their condition, but you see there's a lot of police tape here. This is kind of a park at the perimeter here of 15th Street and Independence Avenue, which is closed from 14th Street on past the monument here. And you're looking kind of west. And we see, again, a lot of vehicles, a lot of police. There is an ambulance here, but we believe if anybody has been shot and survived the shooting, they've been taken to the hospital. We don't see anything that looks like law enforcement standing near a tarp or anything that would indicate whoever was shot did not make it. So obviously impacts on the afternoon commute here down near the Washington Monument. We understand that there was an event going on at the White House, and folks who were out on the South Lawn were at least briefly ushered into the press briefing room. But it looks pretty much under control now.
And again, this all comes after the fourth assassination attempt of Donald Trump. There's really been like 6, right? But you could tally it up to maybe 4 official assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life. And again, J.D. Vance was allegedly in a motorcade driving right past this scene just before this had happened.
Where the Washington Monument is here, just so you kind of get a sense of where we are. So there we are just east of it. So there's the Washington Monument. The grounds of the Washington Monument are open, but at least this roadway here, what you're seeing in the foreground here, is 15th Street and Independence Avenue. You really can't tell because no traffic is moving on that, and that's where the investigation is based, right here, where we're looking at right here. Again, what this was all about, who fired the shot, we don't know the condition of the person who was shot, but you have a lot of law enforcement here, and they are maintaining a perimeter, so it is impacting the afternoon commute and tourists. There are a lot of people in the park behind us, but
why are they going after Trump
here, primarily Independence Avenue Southwest, which would be certainly busy at this time, and 15th Street heading out of town and heading in as well. And, you know, as you just look around, you see, like, right here, this guy right in front of us, Doug, here, this one lone person looks like a National Guard troops, which are still in D.C. What does that say? Yeah, it says National Guard on his back.
So you got the National Guard on this, too.
Helping to maintain the
Typically,
perimeter.
they would be.
What this investigation is going to reveal, we'll find out in the minutes and hours to come, guys.
So you got Secret Service and National Guard on that. So those are the developments that are happening so far with that story. Again, if we grok and see a little bit more, maybe we can get some more information. Let's see what's new here. This marks the second major D.C. security incident in under 2 weeks after the April incident and under 2 weeks after the 25th White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting, where suspect Cole Thomas Allen fired on officers while attempting to breach security at an event attended by President Trump. Knopfall highlights concerns over escalating political tensions. So let's just see. Do we have a shooter? Who was the shooter? See if we have an ID on this person. This happened not too long ago. This is only what? At 4:30 p.m.? According to official statements from the U.S. Secret Service, including Deputy Director Matthew Quinn, plainclothes officers spotted a suspicious individual who appeared near 15th Street and Independence Avenue. Doesn't look like we have any names. So they haven't identified this person yet. No officers issue. Yeah, pretty much everything still the same story. We don't have an ID on the shooter. Maybe it was Thomas Cole, or maybe it was Cole Thomas Allen, right? Maybe he was the one who did it. So again, moving on, that's just one of the bigger stories that happened today, May 4th, 2026. In the algorithm, we are continuing to ramp things up. It's World War III. How are you feeling? How is it hitting you? How is everything impacting your life? Reporters run for their lives after White House shooting. Some footage from that. This is from Washington, D.C. Interesting. Is this a PSYOP? Is this for the ballroom? What was that area at the White House, right? My guess is that this is all going to be a precursor to the ballroom. If this is some kind of false flag, I'm not going to go and, saying that anything's a false flag. We're going to stick to the facts. We're going to stick to what we know. But we don't have a shooter yet. We don't have any ID on the suspect. And yet, apparently, nobody was killed. Or there was just a suspicious individual. They're just not saying much yet. But maybe, who knows? Maybe this is all about the ballroom. Maybe this is all about the White House and really, a precursor to getting Trump and, really what he wants to do with all of that. Our next story is Alex Barnicoat giving us an update on the Israeli embassy in London that was attacked. What do you think about this?
The Israeli embassy in London has been attacked, and if the attacker wasn't stopped, dozens of people could have died. And we actually know that the attacker, Abdullah Sabah al-Badri, arrived in the UK on a small boat in April of last year. Now you need to know, the man...
So this was in the UK today, not the United States, but we cover the UK as well because everything that's happening in the United Kingdom is coming to America very shortly. We're going to be getting a lot of H-1Bs, getting a lot of illegal immigrants coming over here from these places that Trump is bombing. And so they're going to come over here probably, with retaliatory strikes and things like that. These Muslims and Arabs, they're obviously, as much as I hate to defend them, we've been bombing them. And our countries, and again, when you're letting these people in, when Keir Starmer, who is Jewish, is letting these, Arabs and Muslims into your country, when they are fleeing these places of war, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to target, what they believe to be the people who are occupying their lands, right? And they believe that is the Jews, the Zionist Jews, and then any kind of Christian Zionist, which is a different kind of Christian than the Catholics, right? And we're coming to learn this. So a lot of interesting developments here. The Muslims are definitely taking retaliation, and they are committing a lot of attacks on the UK today. So everything that's happening that you see in the UK, I think that's coming to America if we don't lock it down.
Carried out this attack, who was aged 34, tried to climb over the gates of the Israeli embassy carrying 2 knives. He intended on going into the embassy and attacking the Israeli embassy staff, but almost immediately before he could get into the embassy, he was stopped by police officers. And body camera footage from those police officers who stopped him showed him saying that he wants to, quote,
right in front of them? Why would he do that?
As well as that, he had a note written in his pocket that he wanted to die, so probably be shot after carrying out the attack. And he said he wanted to do that, quote, for the glory of God. Now, this attack on the Israeli embassy actually happened last year, but the reason I'm covering it now is this man has actually just been convicted in court. He hasn't been sentenced to prison yet, that's expected to come soon, but there is something important about this. This man entered the UK illegally by boat in April of last year. Not only that, but it was actually his second time getting into the country by boat. The first time he came...
And you have to remember that King Charles is Islamic. King Charles is not a Christian. King Charles is not Jewish. King Charles, he considers himself a follower of Islam. And he's been a huge advocate for Islam. He just visited the United States this past week, and he was talking up Islam. And, you look at all of this happening, and it's like, well, it kind of made sense why none of these people get charged, right? King Charles is more of an Islamic. And then it's weird because you have Keir Starmer, who is, he is Jewish. So it's very interesting how all of this works.
Into the UK, tried to claim asylum, but then left voluntarily.
Like, what are they really trying to do? This seems like this is a coordinated attack on white people, in my opinion. When you think about, again, King Charles is Islamic, and then you have maybe him in cahoots with Keir Starmer, who is Jewish. And so it seems like the only people getting attacked seem to be white Christians in the UK, and it's happening all over America as well.
France. But then he crossed back into the UK a second time by boat, and the second time he was allowed to be free and roam around the UK. And even though he came here illegally and the UK didn't know anything about him, where he was from, what he wanted to do, etc., they still allowed him to be free in society. And then he went on to carry out this terrorist attack, or at least try to. It isn't a controversial thing to say that people shouldn't be allowed to just roam freely around a country without that country knowing anything about them. I don't think I should be able to go illegally into Thailand without them knowing I'm there and who I am. So it's not some sort of immigration thing. But for some reason, this man was able to just roam freely around the UK.
And not just that, he came into the UK on a boat. Like, this is how they're coming in. They're just coming in on boats like the Vikings did. Like, this is quite literally the conquest of the United Kingdom. And they've been trying to do this for, like, forever. And now, in 2026, you're finally seeing that they're actually starting to succeed because of this, these bad policies and these, traitors that are leading the UK right now.
Really not a good look for the UK, but now he's been convicted and he's probably going to go to prison. So if he does, I'll keep you up to date. So leave me a follow for some more global news like this.
Very big developments there. Got a couple more videos from Alex Barnicoat that we'll cover as well. This is from Alex Jones. Again, he has finally went off the air. InfoWars finally went off the air. Alex Jones is, he basically has been covering a lot of his content from alexjoneslive.com. Follow him there if you're trying to support Alex Jones on his new show. But we're going to take a clip of this and let's take a listen.
Reportedly, the Iranians put 2 missiles into a large U.S. warship That's being denied, but the Pentagon denied all the other attacks that were successful before. But international news, including in Europe, is reporting it did indeed happen. And we know this, the strait is closed right now. Iran is in control. It's killing the economy, just as all the experts warned Trump.
And here Trump is attacking Alex Jones and everybody for even saying this. Isn't that horrible?
How many days are we now? We're now 66 days into this grand fiasco. It was supposed to end in 3 to 4 days. Netanyahu and the Mossad told Trump. And now you notice that didn't happen. Now missiles fired at Dubai, reportedly most of them intercepted. Reportedly more coming in. And less than 10 hours after Trump ordered the U.S. Navy to go in the Strait of Hormuz, he already ordered them a month ago, but they refused. Trump fired the head of the Navy. That's because they're in range of the artillery and the missiles.
Crazy.
It's only 12 miles wide at the narrowest point. And they don't need dolphins to blow up our ships or even mines. They have missiles and artillery. That's why our ships were staying back hundreds of miles away.
Yeah.
Well, now
I
Trump
would definitely agree. This is
got
wild.
new leadership of the Navy, and he ordered the ships in to, quote, help get the ships blocked out. And reportedly, the Iranians put 2 missiles into a large U.S. warship. That's being denied, but the Pentagon denied all the other attacks that were successful before. But international news, including in Europe, is reporting it did indeed happen. And we know this, the strait is closed right now. Iran is in control. It's killing the economy, just as all the experts warned Trump. Because I don't want to just talk about how we were right 65, 66 days ago when this new war started, how it was designed to bring us down, how I predicted years ago. That's how they tried to take Trump down in the administration. I can't believe he took the bait. He didn't in the first term.
Totally took the bait. Totally took the bait.
Eric Prince shook his head the day it started. We played the clip.
Preposterous.
Military expert at so many levels from the ground up. He said, I can't believe he did it. Now that it's going to fail, they're going to want boots on the ground. First, they'll block the strait. Then we'll have to send in ships. They'll be attacked. Then we'll have to take the shores. And this is just a total setup. I can't believe he did it. He's got to declare victory and pull out now and just say we're taking out some of their weapons. But when we said that to just Trump, it's not going to work. Israel's going to keep telling you, like a degenerate gambler, keep betting. And you'll come out on top. And now Israel government's saying, Trump, if you fail now, no one will ever trust you again.
Yeah, the Israelis are totally just, walking Trump like a dog, and they got a leash around him. And I think it's because of the Epstein files. I think everybody knows that whatever was in the Epstein files, which was basically the allegations that Trump was basically that he had committed rape on 14-year-old girls, something about him and Bill Clinton, some kind of homosexual interaction with that, weird stuff. Who knows if that's true? All of this was took forever to be released, right? There could have been a lot of information that was accurate in there, a lot of disinformation. But from what if you were to go on the DOJ files right now and take a look at the Epstein files, and you were to truly look into Trump, you're going to find that he's blocked out a lot of the time, and they really censor more every single day. And so that's why I think Trump was kind of forced to get us into this war. It was either you get into this entire war for us, the state of Israel, or we're going to expose you and everything, all the business transactions and deals you had with Jeffrey Epstein and this entire cabal. And so that's what I think. What was even worse is that I don't even think that the Israelis were even blackmailing these people like Trump or the people in the Trump administration. It seems like they wanted to be a part of it. And because of this, it's like maybe Trump is in control, but he's just working for the enemy, which is the state of Israel, at least in regards of world peace, right?
And you'll be known as the guy that lost the Iran war. You're already known as that. He said on Friday, the war's over, they've given up. They made no such statement. And by the middle of the night, he's like, I've greenlit Israel to hit them. We're going to hit them huge. The deal's over, total war. And it goes on and on. That's 30 times he said the war is over. 12 times he said the strait is open. And look, they're like, seriously? They have no more Navy, no more weapons. Oh, they have dolphins. They don't even have a dolphin program. We have the biggest one in the world. We're the ones that have them, the Russians, to plant mines on stuff, so do the Chinese. But we're the king daddies of it. Oh, they're hurting dolphins. They're blowing up baby dolphins and all this stuff. just propaganda. They don't need that. They've got thousands of pieces of artillery and missiles there. They can shoot right down on the ships, and they try to go through there.
I love Alex Jones. I love Alex Jones's AI. I love he has like the best film crew that creates all of his, I think that looks like it was created with Grok Imagine. But it's just
range, high-powered weapons
here on the screen.
Ah! Now there's the evil Iranian dolphins attacking. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
I fucking love Alex Jones. If you guys don't like Alex Jones, then you're not American. It's just as simple as that. Going on to our next story, more updates from Alex Barnicoat. This is what China had to say about the Israel war and everything that's going on in Lebanon today. Just a couple little updates from him. We always like to cover Alex Barnicoat because he is covering the real news
China is
today.
mad at Israel. China literally said, quote, "It is incumbent on Israel to stop this bombardment of Lebanon." Well, first, you have to understand why China has come out and said this, and it's not for no reason. China said this when they were talking about something the United Nations is doing as well. That's also been announced in the last 24 hours. And what that is that the United Nations has come out and announced that by the end of the year, their peacekeeping troops that are in Lebanon are going to be withdrawn. And they actually said the reason for that is that too many of those peacekeeping troops are being killed by the Israelis. In other words, Israel isn't listening to the United Nations, so it's kind of pointless having the troops there.
A lot of that is because the United Nations is basically insolvent. A lot of people don't know that the United Nations is running out of money. We're going to cover this We're going to cover that piece of content where the United Nations specifically admits that they're running out of money and that members are not paying their dues. And so for a big reason, that's probably why Israel and the United States are disregarding the United Nations fully. And at the end of the day, it's like, what is the UN good for? Who really knows? It could be good for things like, standing up against the occupation of Gaza and Lebanon, but at the end of the day, it still also works as a, terrorism force around the world, in my opinion. So it's ebbs and flows when it comes to the United Nations.
China came out and actually condemned the United Nations for doing this. China said, of all times to pull the peacekeeping troops out, now is the worst time. China said, quote, "The view of the overwhelming majority of the Security Council is that this is not really the time to withdraw out of that part of the country." China said, quote, "We believe that we should revisit the decision to withdraw the peacekeeping troops." Now, of course, there's a ceasefire in Lebanon at the moment between Israel and Hezbollah. However, Israel isn't really following it, and neither is Hezbollah.
They never do.
They're both fighting and firing missiles and things at each other. And over the years, the United Nations has had peacekeeping troops there many times, but never have they worked. The Israelis and Hezbollah have never listened to them and never followed the ceasefires. And so now the United Nations has decided, you know what, this is too big a risk to our peacekeeping troops, so we're just going to pull them out. China has condemned the United Nations for doing that.
And yeah. So China is basically standing up to the United Nations. And they're basically saying, hey, not a good time to pull out the peace troops from, Lebanon right now when all of this is happening. Christian villages are being bombed. White phosphorus bombs are being dropped over the entire state of Israel. This is, it's genocide. It's a Holocaust. And here, the one thing that's interesting is I never hear, when it comes to this conversation of Israel and, the Holocaust revisionists and all of this stuff, it's like, how come we don't talk about the Holocaust that Israel is committing right now on Gaza and Lebanon, And it's definitely affecting the entire world because it's like everybody's waiting for that conversation.
By 90% compared to...
Last little clip that we'll watch from Alex Barnicoat here. Again, he covers the news great. He's got great analysis. Be sure to give him a follow.
The Strait of Hormuz has been shut, but there is another consequence that nobody is talking about. The amount of cargo ships sailing through the Strait of Hormuz has fallen by 90% compared to before the war started. Less than 10 vessels leave the Persian Gulf every day now, compared to over 100 before the war. And because the Strait of Hormuz is still effectively shut, there is at least 850 vessels still stuck in the Persian Gulf that are trying to leave. And something that nobody is talking about is the crew members on board those ships. They are still on board. They've been there now for nearly 2 months and they haven't left. There's over 20,000 crew members now stuck and stranded in the Persian Gulf, and they all have families and places to be. Not to mention that they're starting to run out of food on board the ships, and so other countries are having to provide humanitarian aid to those crew members. But another consequence is being stuck in a single place for 2 months has effects on their mental capacity. At the minute, there's no problems with their mental health. However, the report said, quote, "It's not an issue yet, but if the situation persists, it is likely to become one." But you need to know, there doesn't seem to be any chance of this actually returning back to normal normal anyway. Polymarket predicts there's only a 21% chance that the Strait of Hormuz
21% chance
will return back to normal by the end of this month. And so there's 20,000...
Yeah, it's definitely not going to get back to normal in my opinion. I just don't see that happening at all, right?
1,000 crew members that are stuck on board over 800 ships that are still stranded and anchored in the Persian Gulf because they can't sail through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran still controls the straits and they're not really letting any ships through. But this is something that literally nobody is covering, and really I only found out about these statistics today, but they make sense. And stuff like this is stuff that you just won't really hear anywhere else. And so you can leave me a follow because I'm going to keep you up to date on all of the global news that you won't find.
So with all of this happening, what do you think is going to happen with the Strait of Hormuz? What do you think? I mean, at the end of the day, I think this is all for Israel's benefit, right? This is clearly for Israel's benefit only. And so that is why, as the United States, we need to either re-secure the Strait of Hormuz so we don't lose all of that money to China, who I would rather China control the Strait of Hormuz if not the United States, because at least it's not Israel. That's kind of how I feel about that. And on the same end, you have the Greater Israel Project in this annexation happening with all of this today, right? Favorite to succeed, Netanyahu blackmails U.S. with another 9/11. This time it nukes.
We're going to hit the Twin Towers, 9/11.
You were in New York when it happened.
I was in Manhattan when it happened. I saw those buildings on fire.
Erdogan.
That's what happens.
He's the successor. He's supposed to be the successor to Netanyahu.
When you say the Middle East isn't our problem, we don't care. So the radical Islamists will come to the big Satan, to Manhattan, to California, to America.
Who lets them in, though? It is always the Jews who let them in. The Jews will take power. Mamdani is an Islamic Jew. They love to frame Mamdani as a Muslim, but he's not a Muslim. He is a Jew. He wears his kippah. He's communicated. He's very, very Jewish. And so it makes sense. Who is going to let all of these Arabs and Muslims come into the United States to commit, retaliation strikes on Americans, and again, in England as well, Germany, Ireland, all of these different countries, Scotland, where I come from, well, at least my ancestors. You look at all of these things happening, and it's like, how did we get here? And it's like, well, we got here because we have a president who's not standing up to the real greatest terror threat, which is the state of Israel. Okay? Think about who's letting the Muslims into your country. Who's letting the Muslims into the UK? Well, it's King Charles, who is an Islamic himself, and then you also have Keir Starmer, who is Jewish. Okay, and think about what is the agenda? Well, they're going to use the Muslims as what the Jews call, the broomstick of the West. This is not my words. This is their words. And so they believe that they are going to manipulate the Arabs and the Muslims into committing genocides and, coming over to these peaceful countries of white Christians and attacking them. And they're working hand in hand, in my opinion, to do that. And so that is the number one conversation that just needs to be happening today.
But with nuclear ballistic missiles.
See, if you understand these people enough, to me, this is like a threat. This is basically like the state of Israel saying, hey, if you don't scratch our back, we're going to let these Muslims into your country, because we know that they control the legislation laws and all of that. So that's something that people really need to pay attention to. And they're not.
And by having Israel, you do not need to send hundreds of thousands of boots on the ground, because we, Israelis, are 10 million boots on the ground, always here.
Yeah.
These are the same guys who also didn't even, that's kind of weird how, maybe it just blends in with the photo there. It looked like his head didn't exist there, but I guess that's just his little kippah. But anyways, it's like you look at this issue and it's like, it's just horrible. Again, let's rewind that a little bit. 10 million boots on the ground for Israelis. I don't believe that's not how it's going to work. The IDF hardly even wants to fight their own war against Hezbollah, and they won't even fight with the United States troops who are being sent over there. The U.S. troops are being sent over to Israel to just die for Israel. And that's what's happening. And as much as people don't want to hear that, that's exactly the truth. And maybe people don't want to say that because they don't want to lose their jobs, but that's absolutely what's happening.
Boots on the ground, always
They
here.
don't even want to conscript into their own war.
This aircraft carrier called Israel is not going anywhere. We're here to stay. We're not asking, and we never asked America to fight for us. We're fighting right now in the air together. We can defend ourselves. We do need America to have our back.
What that really means is we really do need America's money. We need your tax dollars, America. $318 billion have been sent to Israel since World War II alone. Think about what that could have done for American infrastructure. Maybe a trip to Mars. Think about all of those things we could have accomplished if we hadn't been paying for Israel's infrastructure and their entire country to exist.
A grand jury returned an 11
So big
count.
news. This is Acting AG Todd Blanche and FBI Director Patel announced a grand jury has indicted leftist NGO Southern Poverty Law Center on 11 counts. This is massive. SPLC said they were fighting white supremacy, but they were manufacturing the extremism it proposes to expose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred, per Acting AG Blanche. Best part, they've been charged in the Middle District of Alabama. They're screwed. SPLC has been hit with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. Look at this. The SPLC is a terrorist organization, though. They absolutely do fund all of the terror that they claim to be attacking, right? They are creating the false flags. They create the chaos, and then they make the money from the lawsuits. Lawfare. It's modern day, not warfare, but lawfare.
Good afternoon. Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose.
Precisely.
By paying sources to stoke racial hatred.
That's a fact.
The indictment describes this conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of 1 person and injured dozens more.
The SPLC needs to be dismantled. It needs to be completely dismissed as a legitimate organization, because it's not. It's very much like the ADL. It needs to be dismissed. It needs to be dissolved.
This particular person being
And they should be convicted and prosecuted.
paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years. In total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations Affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, Nazis, and the American Front.
Okay, and again, what's important that you need to know of this, what he's saying is that the SPLC has been funding these right-wing extremist groups specifically to go out and commit these acts of violence, and then they make all the money from the lawsuits. That's the whole point. And they've been benefiting and profiting off of all of this. And that's
Now,
what he's really saying
as
here.
the indictment lays out, after SPLC paid members of these extremist groups, it created work product that reported on these activities that the members participated in or contributed to. And to
Yes.
that end, it was doing the exact opposite of what it's told its donors it was doing.
This is actually one of the more positive things that I've seen the Trump administration do, and I'm very happy with this because, again, the SPLC is a fraudulent organization and they should be completely dissolved. What they are doing to this country is they are, adding gasoline to the fire, and then they're paying for the fire truck to go there and the entire lawsuit that comes with it, right? That's basically what they're doing. So, when we look at all of this, you have to be very careful about who you trust in the media, who you trust in lawfare. Footage from Lake Arcadia Campground in Edmond, Oklahoma shows the aftermath of a reported mass shooting with multiple victims taken to the hospital. This was on May 3rd. This was last night at 11:36. So I don't know much about this story. So when we look into what happened, again, this was last night, so there's probably much more information on this.
Okay, they're here.
Viewer discretion advised. So again, let's look into this a little bit. The incident occurred Sunday night during an unsanctioned Sunday fun day party at the popular recreational lake north of Oklahoma City, drawing a large group of young adults with no official party reservation. Police reports indicate 18 to 23 people were hospitalized with no arrests made or fatalities confirmed as of Monday, as officials are reviewing park permitting processes amid the ongoing investigation. That's really shady and weird, right? Very, very weird. But something to pay attention to. These things are happening. Meanwhile, there is a massive escalation in the area of the Christian villages of Taiba in the West Bank. Israeli settlers set up a new outpost meters away from Palestinian houses and have essentially put the compound under siege. Here's what happened in the past 24 hours. So again, imagine this is your property. This is your house. You got these people just coming in from a completely different place, saying that it's their house. Sorry, buddy, not me. You do that to me, you're gonna get some fists. You're gonna get hurt. You'll never do this to me, brother. I don't care how Jewish you are. No way, Jose. You're not doing this to my property. It's going to be violence if anybody does that to my property. Seriously, just know, not going to happen.
Almost 24 hours since then, and it has been a stream of constant bullshit. I barely slept, and
so this is the journalist who's been taking the video, if you didn't realize this already.
Really not the end. So I'll show you what happened yesterday, but there will likely be more.
We're watching the establishment of a new Israeli settler outpost as we speak. They are the settlers, and they're building an outpost just a few meters away from Palestinian houses that you can see behind me. They already cut the Palestinian fence, and we're expecting more and more violence as time goes on. And these are the same settlers who ethnically cleansed Ras Ain al-Oja just a few months ago. Now they're moving to another location to expel yet another Palestinian community, now in Taiba.
See, people love to compare the United States to Israel and our settlement of America, and it's like, yeah, listen, there was skirmishes, and I always say this, but here's the difference. They destroy everything. Okay, we actually built things up, and we made things efficient, and at the same time, these other tribes were, like, killing each other. There was no established government, there was no established land, there was no established name of the land yet, there wasn't. And so America, when we found this land, there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles of open fields. You know, there was basically... everything was up for grabs. Unlike this situation where the Palestinians have been here for thousands of years and they had a government for a long time. You know, so all of this was already established versus the American settlement of the New World. So evil when you watch this. And I really believe that the Israelis will do this to America the first chance they get. First chance they get, they'll be doing this to the United States. If nobody speaks up about it like I am, I don't care anymore. You know, I'm willing to sacrifice what I need to sacrifice to tell the truth, because look at this. This is ridiculous. You know, this upsets me because it's like we're paying for this. American tax dollars are paying for these people. All that military equipment on that IDF soldier, that's paid for by the U.S. tax dollars. That M4A1 carbine, it looks like, that's our money paying for that. All of this training that they get comes from the United States. You know, did you know that the IDF trains with the Navy SEALs, with Delta Force? Not good. Not good. We train them, essentially, but we give them all our secrets, we give them all our technology, and now who owns the artificial intelligence in all of the companies? Israel. So this is where they're winning the war, and because of that, they're blackmailing a lot of U.S. politicians, and that's how they're able to have a stronghold over a lot of political decisions, policy decisions in America. These people, we shouldn't be giving these people one more penny. Not one more penny. If I was ever in office, I'd never give these people 1 cent, not 1 nickel. And we shouldn't have any, it shouldn't be legal to have dual citizenship, by the way. Like Randy Fine, who's speaking against dual citizenship, against Armenians running for Congress. Why? Because Dim Bilzerian's running against him as an Armenian. That's funny. Or he's part Armenian. He's an American, but he has Armenian DNA. And so basically Randy Fine's kind of gaslighting, even though he has dual citizenship in Israel. It's funny. And so this is what we're paying for, the U.S. tax dollars. So, the future though, Israel, kiss it goodbye. Not one more shekel is going to be going to the state of Israel in the next decade. It's all over for you. So you guys better do what you got to do now And if you don't, it's over, because America's not going to be standing behind you. It ain't going to be happening. We're not going to be supporting a genocide. We're not going to be supporting, your foreign wars, and especially when you people are assassinating our own presidents and causing all of this turmoil around the entire world.
The army came, shook hands with the settlers, and left. And the settlers are still here now, flashing a light at us. And they started a fire and brought some construction materials. It seems like they're here to stay. And we're gonna have to do night shifts here in case they decide to attack the Palestinians at night. The settlers are installing lights pointing at the Palestinians.
I'm surprised they haven't killed this guy. Honestly, this journalist. Brave stuff. Look at this. Yeah, they want him gone. They're about to do their thing. Nobody is allowed to enter here except the residents. Yeah, the Israeli residents.
The whole area was declared a closed
fake residents,
which means that both us and the settlers are supposed to leave. But the army, of course, just kicked out the activists and let the settlers stay there. So now we are sleeping in the car, a 1-minute drive away from the location, ready to jump.
Right, the IDF and the Israeli settlers are hand in hand. I mean, they're helping each other out, obviously, right? It's a good move. It's a good occupation. It's very well done, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's not well done enough when you have these videos being released. Jewish supremacist youth in occupied Jerusalem hurl vulgar obscenities at PNN, the Palestine News Network journalist correspondent. So this is just kind of a taste of what, how these people really are when they're not in front of a camera telling you how great they are and innocent
You
they
don't want
are.
to say anymore in front of the camera? You don't want to show
Watch
the world
this.
the truth,
Watch
man?
this.
Okay. So why he comes to me and says Palestinians on my dick? Why? Huh? To send me? Huh? Good job. Ala Zobri? This is where the American tax dollars go. That's good. Huh? Good job. Good job.
And they're literally telling them, fuck you, bitch, fuck you, bitch, fuck Palestine. That's literally what they're saying.
وقتكم قصير. Don't worry. وقتكم.
And this is their youth. This is the Israeli youth we're looking at.
وقتكم جاي.
Total hatred. This is hatred. Total hatred just built up in these people. And these are children. These are kids. Talk about the propaganda and the psychological brainwashing it takes to make an entire youth think like this. And what would an Israeli tell you if you were to bring this up? Well, they'd say, well, October 7th. But October 7th was an Israeli setup. It was a stand down. And it was all fronted by Netanyahu. So what is the real excuse? There isn't an excuse. Israeli IDF stood down on October 7th and allowed Hamas and Hezbollah to completely do what they did. That kid just said, we will fuck Palestine like a bitch. Take note of that. Your religion is a farce, and your state is a farce.
Don't be angry. Don't be angry.
Good job.
Don't be angry. No.
أيوة على الكاميرا كمان مرة. على الكاميرا يلا. One more time.
Total hatred. America shouldn't send one more penny to this country. It's just so common sense. Continue vulgar curses on the camera in Palestine. How sad. These people deserve no land. There is no such thing as Israel. It was started in 1946. And all because of a false apartheid state. At the end of the day, no. Israel does not have a right to exist if they are going to genocide and do what they're doing to everybody else. So take a look at this video. I wanted to show you this. I posted a few things myself and made a few reposts myself. Be sure to give me a follow. Ecker17, ECKER 17. And again, you want some help in business? I am a U.S. entrepreneur, AI systems builder, analyst, podcaster, law enforcement proud. Did that for a while and still do it a little bit. Build the future and void dire, which if you don't know what void dire means, it means to speak the truth, quite literally. That's why I put that there. Hold fast is the motto of the McLeods, which is my mother, McKelvey, and her grandmother. My grandmother's maiden name, McLeod. And so that's our motto was always hold fast. That's kind of why I have that in my bio. America first. And so give me a follow if you want to grow your business. you want to grow in AI. And again, follow and subscribe just to support the info and the news. I love to cover the news and everything that's going on and things that I find the most interesting and most impacting and influential in the entire world. So this is a Lebanon news update. Yellow line sit down in Lebanon, which destroys 6% of their sovereign country. Civilian buildings permanently destroyed and the civilians pushed north permanently. Not enough of us are speaking up about this. So look at this video.
Are recording themselves openly bragging about it too. Look at all the destruction. All the civilian buildings are completely leveled.
And again, I say, what if this was the United States of America?
You know
we have to think like this. What if this was America? We have to have compassion as humans, as Americans, if we truly do want to remain the greatest superpower on earth, because it really is up to America to stand up against this. And I don't believe the younger generations will ever support the state of Israel for what we're seeing now. And I think that there's going to be a real revelation for these people. I don't see a lot of good things coming out of this for the state of Israel. The world knows, and I don't think anybody's going to be allying with them anytime soon.
Media, too. Netanyahu is creating a buffer zone. Go ahead, look this up. It's 3 to 6 miles deep into Lebanon and takes up about 6% of all of Lebanon's entire country. They're creating another yellow line buffer zone and chasing out all the civilians to intentionally make it uninhabitable, and they want no one even living near Israel. The UN, silent and useless, as usual. Western leaders and Arab leaders both silent and working to help Netanyahu. He must be the ones to expose this, and it's going to be done through social media because there's no other avenue. We need to try to save Lebanon as we also worry about who is going to be next, because they're taking down countries and they are not stopping.
And they're going after Turkey next. That's already been in their plans. So as everybody's all shocked by everything that's happened in Gaza and everybody's still shocked by everything that's happened in Lebanon, they're already planning for Turkey. So they're moving fast. This is the true blitzkrieg, as Hitler once, coined. Israeli journalist calls for ethnic cleansing in Gaza and Lebanon. I don't understand the fear of using the word occupation. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to occupy Gaza and Lebanon. We must cleanse the area, expel the local population, and replace them with Jews. So while they tell you that none of this is happening, you have them saying this on their own news networks. Yeah, the translation is, I don't know, he's speaking Yiddish and I don't have a good translation there. I don't know how to speak Yiddish. So anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about Spencer Pratt, who's running for the California mayor, and he's been doing awesome. This is just one of his ads. Elon Musk ended up retweeting it, but there's so many good ones that he's actually had here. And so before we get into that, again, follow Spencer Pratt. He's running for the California mayor, and this is a dude who apparently was some reality TV star back in the day. But I'm honest, I've been totally impressed by this entire campaign. Take a look at this video. We'll watch a few of his videos to support his campaign and what he's doing. If you're living in California, be sure to vote. Get out and vote for Spencer Pratt if you want to actually have a California that is not corrupt and basically dying.
This is where Mayor Bass lives. You notice something? Or here, where Nithya Raman's $3 million mansion sits.
This dude is so good at this. I'm honest, I've been super impressed.
Where you live. This is where I live. They let my home burn down. I know what the consequences of failed leadership are. That's why I'm running for mayor. For my sons and the rest of us Angelinos that want to stop these corrupt politicians from destroying our city. We are going to get the golden age of Los Angeles back.
So again, this guy's been making like crazy ads. Like his ads have been awesome. This is just 5 hours ago. Karen Bass and Nithya Raman are secretly working together to block me in the primary, according to Spencer Pratt. Enough with the corrupt, fake politicians. Enough with the games. Vote Pratt today.
Together, and we can't stop now.
Look at this.
I just wanted to share how happy I am to be out here with Mayor Karen Bass.
These people are pure criminals, and they should be absolutely prosecuted and convicted. They should be thrown under a gulag.
And I couldn't be prouder to work alongside her.
Well, let me just say, Nithya, we've been working together for a year, so we have to continue this work together, and we can't stop now. So you got that ballot, fill it out.
Let me give you some inside baseball. Guys, Nithya Raman is conspiring with Karen Bass. Remember when Nithya shocked everyone and jumped into the mayor's race at the last minute, inexplicably just days after endorsing Karen? Why would she do that? Why isn't Karen upset? Why do they never attack each other? Because Karen saw that I was a serious threat. She made Nithya jump in the race to block me out from the number 2 slot. But now I've shot past Bass, so now you have Karen Bass operatives trying to trick you and steal back votes by telling you that they actually, if you want Spencer her to win, you have to vote for Bass.
A vote for Bass on June 2nd puts Bass
This is
in
how politics works. This is how manipulative the game gets.
runoff against Pratt, and then we can push for Spencer Pratt to win the matchup and become mayor. So we have to vote Karen Bass in June, keep Roman out of the top two, and then we all push for a Pratt win in November.
Karen Bass burned my community down, and I'm still voting for her because at least she believes in private housing. If
Seriously,
I can back Karen
what?
Bass, you can too. But right now,
These people are
we
insane.
all need to push
Clinically insane.
Karen Bass forward.
Wrong. I need every vote, every step of the way. We are dealing with a cartel here. It's going to be an uphill battle the whole way. They're losing the messaging war. Nothing is working. So they think this fake Machiavellian shtick will work on you. You're being played. Nithya never goes after Bass. She always pushes these impotent, nebulous criticisms like, we're failing in the city.
The city can't keep streetlights on. Fiscally irresponsible decision making. The city has cut capacity.
Who criticizes themselves in a campaign, not their opponent. Are you guys paying attention? She's taking advantage of all her DSA supporters and using them. 100%. Say what you want about Reverend Ray Wong. We disagree on a lot, but I respect her because she's at least authentic. She's the only real true believer among my opponents and actually lives by the DSA mantra. Nithya is just a crony like Karen. She will abandon all her supporters and drop out of the race or just sandbag it after doing all the blocking and tackling for Bass in the primary. Yes. She even recently told CBS that she's going to retire from politics after this campaign.
Roman says this will be her last political campaign.
You are being scammed. Vote Pratt in the primary. Tell your friends vote Pratt today. Tell your parents to vote Pratt today. Tell your barista to vote Pratt today. Tell everyone you see to vote Pratt today. No political games, no tricks, no strategies. Just vote for who you want to win.
Yeah, Spencer Pratt for mayor of Los Angeles. Let's do it. I'm down for that. I want to see Los Angeles get cleaned up because California is a beautiful state and it's been completely just destroyed by corruption in general, right? Again, just one more interview from Spencer Pratt here, and then we'll move on to some of the other news. But I did want to give some airtime for Spencer Pratt and just kind of highlight the issues that are happening in California. All those fires that, destroyed those homes, it's all scams, right? It was all man-made fires, right? And all of this was for the city to make more money for themselves. And so this is kind of what we're talking about now. Let's take a look at this video.
Obviously, Kamala Harris loves Karen Bass because of Karen Bass letting the Pacific Palisades and Malibu burn down. Kamala Harris was able to get a $2 million discount on her new house in Malibu that if Karen Bass hadn't let burn most of Malibu and most of Palisades to the ground, she would have never been able to get that $2 million discount. So it really does not matter who endorses Bass because the people that endorse me are the women and mothers that want to feel safe again in the streets of LA.
And the Groypers. I'm a Groyper. I consider myself one of the Groypers. America first. And we're behind you, Spencer Pratt. America's behind you, Spencer Pratt. And those who have the bravery and the courage to stand for the truth, like Spencer Pratt, I believe do have a pretty good following behind them. It's that simple. You stand for America first. And that's what this guy is. He's all about it.
And my two opponents will not enforce any laws. And that's why women and mothers and kids do not feel safe in the streets of LA. So she can have all the political endorsements she wants. She can go do all the photo ops she wants with Trump in the White House. And, they're calling her MAGA Karen all over X because she was the one walking out with the MAGA teddy bear out of the White House. So she'll take any endorsement to keep her corrupt
100%.
politician
Well
career
said.
going here.
And so that is Spencer Pratt. Be sure to give him a follow. He's been crushing it. Absolutely crushing it. I think this was one more, actually. Sorry, we're going to watch one more here.
Twice
one
in
more
Washington.
lined up, and then we'll move on to the Nets news. Again, one more clip, though. All of this is so important. Okay, we have to restore California. We do have to save California. It's one of the greatest states. It's great for mining. It's great for, it's great for everything, right? And at the end of the day, if we could clean it up, a lot of potential in California, especially Los Angeles. But this guy is going to be the reason that maybe California can be saved.
LA has no money. How are you going to do all this stuff? LA has plenty of money that we're just letting our tax money just be stolen. One thing I'm so excited to do when I'm mayor, and people in the comment section are like, oh, he's so stupid, you can't do that. I've met with the IRS criminal investigation team 3 times in LA, twice in Washington, D.C., and they are so excited for me to be mayor because all they need is one document from each of these NGOs and these grants, and they can open these investigations on fraud. Right now, they know the fraud and the crimes are happening, but if the city doesn't hand over the document and the NGO doesn't, they say,
can't just open up these cases without that one document. First week as mayor, I'm bringing in the criminal investigation team of the IRS. Here's all the NGOs we're working with. I guarantee you 95% of them already just call and they're like, oh, Mayor Pratt, oh, we're good. We're actually going to Seattle. We don't want to work here. Once they know someone's coming to stop the cookie jar stealing. And then when people are like, oh, LA has no money, how are you going to do all this stuff? LA has plenty of money that we're just letting our tax money just be stolen and to increase a problem.
100% true. So again, follow Spencer Pratt, support his candidacy, support his movement. And at the end of the day, meanwhile, it's a constitutional amendment to enact term limits for Congress because Donald Trump called for 6-year term limits for Congress and 12-year term limits for the Senate. If this passes, 73% of Congress would be ineligible to serve and replaced. This was a core campaign promise and it must be delivered.
To drain the swamp. If I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress.
And here Trump is saying like, oh yeah, maybe 2029 I'll just keep running. It's kind of funny how he double speaks. We'll be getting to that clip in a moment. But this is him when he was running. Here he wants to make term limits, but then today he also made a statement that maybe in 2029 they'll have a similar kind of you'll have somewhat of a Trump candidacy still. So who knows? Trump making moves. Hard to not like the guy at the end of the day. He's got spunk.
I'm proposing a term limit of 6 years for members of the House and 12 years for members of the Senate. Long time.
Again, this is old footage though.
Decades of political failure and special interest collusion must and will finally come to an end.
So what's up with Israel, bro? What's up with Israel, dog? What are we doing there?
It's time to sweep the corruption out of Washington.
I agree.
That is why I will also ask for a ban to drain the swamp.
On Israel? Yeah, let's do it. So again, more clips, new campaign for Spencer. Okay, that was one of the clips that I wanted to play earlier, but we watched enough of him. Moving on, this was what RFK had to say. What do you guys think about this clip? I cringed at this when I first watched it. So what do you guys think? Seriously. I don't know how to feel about this one.
That you didn't believe that you were going to get to heaven. You're doing God's work here. You've made peace in the Middle East, which...
That's not true.
...is beyond...
We have not made peace in the Middle East. The Middle East is more dangerous than it has ever been in, like, the history of the United States.
...imagination. And now you're giving millions of Americans a chance to have babies, and you're doing this while the government is locked down.
Will it actually happen, though?
Democrats.
I don't know.
But this administration has not stopped working for the American people. And that's because of your energy, your commitment, your vision, and I want to thank you for allowing me to be part of it.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Donald Trump the Great. Alexander the Great, who knows? Maybe there's a connection there, you know? Today, just 4 companies, JBS, Cargill, Tyson Foods, and National Beef, control roughly 85% of the cattle processing market. That level of concentration has surged from just 25% in 1977 to 71% by 1992, and now to an astonishing 85%. Together, these companies operate through dozens of subsidiary businesses, creating a landscape that levels many of our cattle producers with limited marketing options. For some ranchers, this means less marketing opportunities, complicating an area challenging marketplace. We must work to address this to protect our ranchers and consumers. A lot of talk, but where's the
and
action?
This is the second part of what I want to talk about today. The consolidation in U.S. meatpacking has led to just 4 meat packers. JBS, a Brazilian-owned company, Cargill, Tyson Foods, and National Beef, another Brazilian company. Those 4 companies monopolize about 85% of the U.S. processing market today. But it hasn't always been that way. The rate of this 4-firm control has accelerated since the 1970s.
Yes.
According to USDA data, concentration for cattle slaughter of these 4 was only 25% in 1977 and jumped to 71% by 1992. As mentioned today, it is an astounding 85%. Notably, these 4 firms now own together more than 70 subsidiary companies today.
But yet the Trump administration is not doing much to protect the farmers at all, in my opinion, because it's like we still have the laws from Bill Gates where he's controlling all of the seeds that you're allowed to buy. So basically, if you're a farmer today, you want to go and plant some seed, well, that seed has to be bought at a specific time, and it can't be used a year later, all of this stuff. And you have to do everything in compliance to these private companies. And so all these farms are getting pushed out of business.
They don't own them together, but in total, there are 70 subsidiary companies that are owned by these four. This has led to a frightening landscape for cattle ranchers. Industry consolidation reduces options for our ranchers looking to sell their cattle. It weakens their negotiating power, and it risks reliance upon a single buyer. Today, the concentration of larger plants...
Yeah, Bill Gates, and then the Chinese, and then the Israelis. Absolutely.
...opens the door to tighter coordination by the Big Four with producers, and perhaps the exertion of control over them as well, given they have limited options to sell their cattle.
And again, when we look at more of these clips here, this just goes on and on. This is not an issue that's going away. This is an issue that's getting even worse and worse and worse. Okay, just now President Trump is posting straight truth nukes, confirming that immigrants from places like Somalia are total leeches on America, lifetime contributions per immigrant. North America, 573,000. Scandinavia, 557,000. Japan, 525,000. UK, 481,000. Oceania, 476,000. Somalia, negative 1.1 million. Sub-Sahara Africa, negative 730,000. Central plus North Africa, negative 700,000. Caribbean, negative 675,000. Middle East, negative 624,000. Latin America, negative 271,000. Lifetime contribution per immigrant.
Anything.
What do you think about this?
Hundreds and hundreds and even
I think he's
thousands
right.
of people a week and a day. It's led by great Vice President J.D. Vance. He's doing a great job. I said, J.D., I want that job. I want to do it as president. They said, you better, let's do a little delegation, please. But J.D.'s done a great job. Thousands and thousands of people are it's a fraud. I mean, look
Yes,
at
it is.
the wonderful country. It's a beautiful country. You should try it sometime. Somalia, it's a beautiful place.
No.
It's got no
definitely
government.
not.
It's got no military. It's got no anything. It's got one thing that's really strong, crime. It's got a lot of crime. They have no police. All they do is run around shooting each other. It's filthy dirty,
Very true.
disgusting dirty. It's a horrible place.
These are facts, though. This isn't just Trump being like a racist.
Elon
This is absolutely
Omar.
true.
You ever hear of her? She heads it. And think of it. They have nothing but crime, poverty, pollution.
Trump.
Everything is horrible over there. Nothing good. They say it's the worst country anywhere in the world, and we got some beauties out there, but it's the worst.
He's right, though, about
and then
this.
she comes here from Somalia, and she tells us how to run the United States of America. She says, the Constitution gives me certain rights. And I demand that I be given these rights. Get the hell out. What a phony.
So that all sounds great, but here's the thing, Trump. Where's Israel on this list is my question. Where is Israel on this list? I don't see Israel here. And I think Israel would be in the red. They wouldn't be in the green. And I think that number would be highest among Somalia, Caribbeans, the Middle East, Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, Central plus North Africa. I mean, maybe they put Israel inside the Middle East there, but that can't be right. Negative 624,000 from the Middle East. Well, what's Israel alone? I bet it's in the billions. But they won't put that there. Very interesting. Again, they want to put that apart as the Middle East, but I think that number would be much, much higher. So very interesting stuff. Let's see what the comments said. Some groups cost us heavy their whole lives. We keep welcoming them like it's a good deal. America is racing to the bottom if we don't remove these immigrants before they multiply and cost more. That comes from the pledged allegiance of the Republic. And the South Africans are now here and actually contributing to the economy. Yeah, no, they're not. Definitely not. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're seeing with that. I thought that was kind of an interesting statement. Greg Bovino, who is an identified Groyper, the America First head of ICE, who did a fine job and kind of got thrown under the bus by Trump during the entire Minneapolis skirmishes and all of those arrests that were being made. Regular American EM 72479 calls the Illinois DMV, and they casually admit they're still letting non-English speakers take their CDL exams in Spanish with interpreters, even family members, for the actual road skills test. Meanwhile, we've got fresh headlines of CDL drivers plowing through road signs they can't read, killing innocent people in Florida and elsewhere. US DOT just pointed to multiple fatal crashes caused by exactly this. Truckers who don't speak or read English, 5,500 plus drivers have already lost privileges for failing basic English checks. People are dying because the system refuses to enforce common sense. This video isn't just a gotcha. It's proof that everyday Americans providing tips, recording the call, dropping the receipts, is how to actually fix things. Remember my interview exposing how ICE tip lines isn't even monitored properly? Same story here. Citizens are handling the government gold-plated evidence on a platter, and the bureaucracy is too busy being inclusive to care. 100% accurate. If we actually listened to tips like this one, we'd save lives tomorrow. Illinois, English is the language of our roads, period, no more excuses. Watch the video, share it, demand they stop. The American people are doing the job, the government won't. Bam. So take a listen to this.
The fastest way to check availability, book, view, and reserve available appointments at participating facilities is via our website at www.ilsos.gov. Please note that appointment-only facilities will not be able to accommodate walk-ins customers. Many driver's licenses and identification card services can be completed online without a visit to a facility. Visit www.ilsos.gov for this fast, convenient option. Thank you for your patience. To ensure quality service, all calls are recorded for training and business purposes. Please hold momentarily while we connect you to an agent. Thank you for calling. Your call is very... Thank you for calling Secretary of State. My name is Victoria.
Here we go.
Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
Hi, I was actually calling for my husband to schedule an appointment for him to come take the CDL test.
At which location?
Elk Grove.
See what she says
You
here.
need the written test or the road test?
Both, but I just want to schedule the written test for right now.
Elk Grove is a walk-in facility for CDL. He does not need an appointment fee.
Oh, okay, good, fantastic. And then, you guys still offer the test in Spanish, right?
Yes, they do.
Okay, and
Oh,
then
gosh.
when he does take the over-the-road test, would I be permitted to come with him to translate?
Unbelievable.
Okay, perfect.
Why?
Thank you so much.
Why is this legal? Why is this legal? And I say this as a family. Like, my family is a bunch of truckers. Like, they're a bunch of car haulers, blue-collar people. And they have to deal with the same problem. All these foreign drivers, these foreign truck drivers who are causing all these problems. And it is a problem. It is growing at an increased rate. And so this is absolutely an issue. You should be able to speak English only. English should be the only language, especially when you're driving across the roads. You know how many people have died because of this?
You're welcome. Enjoy your day.
You too.
Absolutely insane. So nothing's being done, and immigrants are just allowed to take their CDL test in Spanish with a translator, and they don't even need to know how to read English, like basic English. Like, how are you supposed to be an Indian truck driver or an Arabic truck driver? Maybe you don't even know the English language. But you have to read road signs across the entire country, state by state by state. Let's say you're a car hauler. You know, like, how does this even work? Well, I guess they're just supposed to run into everybody and just hope for the best. But they don't know how to drive. And you see this. The statistics are unreal. So, that's one of the biggest problems I think we need to address today, without a doubt. A Fox reporter just went Nick Shirley mode confronting an alleged hospice fraudster in Gavin Newsom's California. They shut the door and begged Fox to leave. Can I talk about the care you provide? The woman says, I don't have time, closes the door. Please don't film. That's all you ever get.
Okay, let's wait outside. My name is Wayne Marginesco, Fox News. You're with Graceful Care?
Yes.
Can I talk to you a little about some questions of the care that you provided to individuals up in the Central Valley?
At the moment, I have some workers here getting closed down.
Okay. You want us to wait outside?
Rude.
We don't go.
Okay,
There's nothing more annoying than that to me. Like, to watch these videos of these foreigners in our country, in the United States, with the aloof behavior and attitude that they have, and they just slam the door in your face when you actually are trying to ask them about legitimate questions, and they can't answer them. Why is this okay? Why is it accepted? Because people are so afraid to stand up and speak out about it. Everybody doesn't want to lose their job. So because everybody's stuck at their jobs, they're not telling the truth. And when you don't have a mass narrative of people, speaking out against this, this is why we live in a country where these people have all the rights and you have none. And they can just slam the door in your face despite all of the fraud that's basically being perpetrated in all of these different states.
Wait outside? That's our own William Lajeunesse confronting an alleged fraudster in California. More on that investigation and Medicaid fraud nationwide coming up. It is costing this country a fortune.
Yeah, more than a fortune. It's costing us our identity. It's costing us our national demographics. It's costing us the respect for our country that every other country used to have. So back to the farmers. This is the video I actually wanted to play earlier when we were talking about the farmland and all of what that secretary was talking about. The seed law in America is absolutely insane. How can this be? So take a listen to this. If you're a farmer, this should piss you off.
It is illegal in the United States for 98% of farmers to replant the seeds from the crops that they grew in the previous year. How illegal? Well, I'm glad you asked. If a farmer gets caught even one time replanting their seeds, they are banned from buying seeds ever again. There have been over 500 court cases about this, and farmers lose 100% of the time. And every one of those times, it causes a multi-generational farmland to go completely bankrupt. No seeds, no farming. Stick with me for a second because it gets worse. Let's say a farmer bought seeds, did all of their planting, and realized they had over 10,000 seeds left. You would think that a farmer with tight margins would just be able to hold those seeds for next year and then plant them in next year's harvest. However, you would be wrong because that is also a crime. It is a breach of contract with the seed companies. You're only allowed to plant this year's seeds this year, not next year or even 10 years from now. In the US, 100% of seeds are genetically modified seeds. All of those seeds have patents, and when a farmer buys them, they're not buying the seed, but they're buying the right to use them.
Yeah. So if you're a farmer today, basically, if you're not complying with the all the corrupt things we're seeing with our government today, you're just being told to shut up, deal with it, and sell your farmland to Bill Gates.
You can't make this stuff up. So Bill Gates wants to build a smart city in Arizona called Belmont. He's spent over $80 million buying 25,000 acres in an area west of Phoenix and west of Buckeye.
Why is Bill Gates not in prison? Why is he not in a gulag with no food, no water given to him, no humanity treated to him? Because he doesn't deserve it. This guy should be, for everything he's everything he's done with COVID, the COVID-19 vaccine, all of it.
With other far-left billionaires, like the guy who owns diapers.com. Coincidentally, now there's been an increased risk of wildfires in the areas surrounding the proposed sites. And you guessed it, now insurance companies are starting to cancel wildfire policies in the areas. Sounds familiar to something else, but I'm not saying anything, I'm just giving you some facts.
Yep. That's Bill Gates for you. Look at him. He still walks free. Nothing has happened to this man. Trump has allowed him to reign. And now he buys your farmland as he sits there complaining about climate change while he rides on his private jet and emits more carbon than anyone in the entire country, probably. But he gets away with it. A friend of Epstein's, by the way. Moving on, Putin says, I want the ordinary citizens of Western countries to hear me. You are being persistently told that all of your current difficulties are the result of hostile actions by vicious Russia, and that you must pay for the fight against a mythical Russian threat out of your own pockets. All of this is a lie. 100% true. The truth is that the problems you are facing now are the result of years of actions by the ruling elites of your own countries, their mistakes, short-sightedness, and ambition. They do not think about how to improve your lives. They are obsessed with their own selfish desires, interests, and excessive profits.
Своих граждан западных странах. Они одержимы своими корыстными интересами и сверхприбылями.
So again, is Russia really the bad guy? Orthodox Christian country today, no GMO. They have 20 different cures to all the different cancers there are. But America doesn't? And America, does have GMO? America, you can't even own a farm without making sure that Bill Gates gets to own most of it. And that way, basically, BlackRock or Blackstone, you'll have to sell it right to them. That's kind of interesting how that works. Maybe Russia isn't so bad. What if we sided with Russia? What if Russia was our greatest ally? Maybe it wouldn't be such a bad thing, the two greatest nuclear superpowers. But no, we have globalism. and we have to fight the Russians for some reason because America is a Jewish country, apparently, and Russia is an Orthodox Christian country. Very interesting how all of this works. Families on a UK beach were having a lovely afternoon by the sea. That is until a group of young men showed up with fireworks and yelled Allahu Akbar. Are you feeling culturally enriched yet, Britain? So yeah, viewer discretion is advised. We're about to get into a couple little crazy videos showing what's happening in England today from all of this mass migration. So again, I almost don't even blame the Muslims because these people are basically, they're causing havoc, and because their intention is to conquer. They're being let into this country, no problem. And at the same time, their countries are being bombed by the United States and Israel. And so at the end of the day, they're being let into these countries to just rain hell. So this is why we can't let immigration into your country at all, really. Whether it's Jews or Muslims, unfortunately, unless there can be some form of assimilation, this is the biggest hurdle that we're all going to have to get through. As Muslims, Christians, Jews, there needs to be some kind of a, realization that this is not how a civil society operates. Okay? When somebody does something wrong, we're going to highlight it, and this is where things are going wrong.
Hey, yo, move your fucking head, man. Yo, what the fuck, bro? Oh, yo, where am I gonna fucking die from?
And the intent here is not to assimilate, right? Obviously, when you watch these videos, it's clear as day that these people are trying to bring hell and to raise havoc. These are terrorists, military-aged men. Look at the face. They couldn't be happier doing what they're doing. Now, and again, who let them in, though, is always what I go back to. Who let them into this country? Israel. Israeli politicians. Pro-Zionist politicians. Right? This is something people need to really pay attention to. Okay? Because look at these videos.
700 years of our...
This video should be broadcast 24/7. The Muslim Brotherhood leader explains in his own words that after 700 years of failed attempts to conquer Europe by force, they are now conquering it peacefully with the help of the native Western governments. The EU's weak and corrupt politicians have caused a disaster to biblical proportions. This won't end well.
Trial to conquer Europe by force failed. They did something wrong, very wrong. They tried for many years to conquer Europe through wars, only wars.
This is the soft Islamic conquest of the West. Basically, what the Islamic and again, I'm an Orthodox Muslim. What we couldn't do in the last, say, 20 years, now the West is doing it for us for free and even paying for it.
Allah permitted them to.
He just said it. A Muslim just told you how your taxes are paying for their conquest of your country. And same thing with the Israelis. We're giving money to all these different countries. Israel and our politicians who are stealing from all of us, who are pro-Israel and pro-Zionist politicians, Israel-first politicians, and then they are letting all of these Muslims into your country. Think about Mamdani, right? He is a Jewish Muslim. And so what does that mean, really? You think about King Charles, who is Islamic, and then how Keir Starmer is Jewish. Maybe they have a little deal against Christians. Maybe this is their way of conquering and, teaming up against the Crusades, of which they don't want to happen. So we'll see what happens with all of this entire war, but this is really what's going on.
Live off the infidel while they are subduing them. So it had sort of a parasitic type of attitude where they can live off of the host country, where their goal is to eventually eradicate the host culture and supplant it with
700.
And that's what's happening right now, before your very eyes. So what are you doing about it, Scott Bessant just signaled Bretton Woods 2.0 and warns to position yourself for it. The banking system after World War II unleashed global prosperity. Why not create it? Why not recreate it right now? He openly calls for rewriting the banking and financial system. So this is totally sketchy coming from Scott Bessant, because if you know anything about Scott Bessant, in 1992, he was one of the reasons that the British pound was broken. The British bank, the British dollar, really was broken and collapsed right along with George Soros. So take a listen to this.
Banks were invented around Bretton Woods, which was post World War II. Europe was,
they're going to crash the economy again, just like they did in '92. They're going to crash the British dollar, the British pound, you could say, And I think they're going to try that in the United States as well. And then they're going to replace it with some form of cryptocurrency, stablecoin, or central bank digital currency.
And Asia was a unique time in America, and it led to incredible prosperity across the world. So why can't we do that again? And why can't we focus on growth? Like, what are the tools? What is hindering growth of these economies? Thanks for.
Well, what's hindering it is corruption and people like Howard Lutnick making millions of dollars. Meanwhile, the UN officials have warned that the United Nations faces total financial collapse.
The Secretary General has, as you know, repeatedly made clear the problem both of non-payment of Jews by member states and the related problem of the UN being forced to repay member states for budget expenses that it does not,
So what? The United Nations is apparently insolvent. So now we see why they haven't done basically anything against the state of Israel.
Budget money that it does not spend. So those two factors have put us on an unsustainable...
Isn't it weird how the United Nations logo here, where my cursor is, isn't it kind of weird how this is a flat earth? You ever wonder that? You ever wonder why the UN logo is a flat earth? Anybody else wonder that? Look at that. The United Nations logo, right where my cursor is a flat earth. Kind of weird.
Trajectory. Although more than 150 member states paid their dues last year, we ended 2025 with a record $1.56 billion in outstanding dues, which is more than double that of the previous year.
Oh, boy.
So unless either the payments come in or we're not compelled to spend, to return the monies that we are not able to spend because we didn't receive the budget, unless one of those two things happen, we face...
Haven't American taxes paid for all of this enough? Like, how do these people not have enough? Like, what? Maybe it's because you people are spending money on ivory towers and you're not taking care of your people, right? Again, this was a Muslim migrant screaming Allahu Akbar who stabbed a young girl to death with 7 knife wounds in broad daylight in Spain. No warning, no reason, just pure savagery. This is what mass immigration is doing to Europe. Wake up, Europe, 100%. This could be your hometown. This could be your hometown. What? Wait till it happens to America. This is why, again, this is nothing against the Muslims. This is nothing against the Israelis. But at the end of the day, these two ethnocentricities, these people, these religions, these political movements should never have any kind of access to white European cultures. This is just not going to ever happen. They're completely, they're completely conflicting ideologies, right? Christians have nothing in common with Jews, and unfortunately, it seems like the Muslims do not understand that the Muslims and Christians actually do have a lot in common as well. The Muslims say that they worship Christ as the second most important prophet after Muhammad, but yet they commit these kind of acts. So it's like you can't let people into your country when they're going to do this. It's like every time I want to be pro-Muslim, every time I want to hey, maybe we can team up against Israel. It seems like they're doing just fine teaming up against the white Christians. Nobody's going to talk about that. Brendan Ecker will. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, support the info, support the news. Worms are being found in drinks at McDonald's. One customer reported he was drinking his sweet tea when he felt something in his mouth that he knew wasn't ice and spit it into his hand, only to discover it was a worm. It happens to multiple people, and the issue is tied to the beverage machine. Another customer, the worm came through the straw. It went into my mouth. I spit it out in my hand. I never had something that gross happen to me in my life. It is absolutely disgusting. The incident happened in Kenosha County, Wisconsin. Then McDonald's said they are cleaning the beverage machine. Yeah, I mean, they should be sued and, closed down for something like that. But hey, they'll just continue making profits. And this guy will never probably be able to afford the lawsuit against them.
After customers at a Wisconsin McDonald's found worms inside of their drinks. Now, this unwanted surprise happened to not just one, but 3 customers.
Don't eat McDonald's.
Our Milwaukee affiliate, WTMJ, got these photos. One customer...
You will eat the bugs and be happy. Remember what Klaus Schwab said of the World Economic Forum. You will eat the bugs and you will be happy. You will own nothing and be happy.
Posted them to her Facebook page after finding this in the drink that she had ordered from a McDonald's in Paddock Lake, that's in Kenosha County. 2 other customers responded with similar findings, one saying that he had already taken a sip of the drink when he noticed that something fell off.
The worm came through the straw, it went into my mouth, I spit it out in my hand, and I was contemplating life because I've never had something that gross happen to me in my life.
That's disgusting.
It's absolutely disgusting.
That's putting it lightly. Listen to this. A report from the Kenosha County Health Department states that tiles under the soda and ice machines were severely damaged. The department also says that workers told them that they had noticed worms coming out of a sewage outlet. Well, management says that they hired a pest control company. WTMJ contacted that McDonald's
Are we really
location
surprised,
directly.
though? Are we really surprised about any of this when McDonald's is literally, feeding people children? Yes, that's happening. According to the Jews, they've admitted that in many different, videos. There's a popular one I've went over on my live stream before, where Jews admit that they grind up the meat of children and then basically they force people to eat them. They put it into the meat. That's a real thing. Kind of crazy. Go ahead and tweet it. Look it up. You'll find it. Rabbi talking all about it. Meanwhile, the cryptocurrency markets. So as we look at crypto, we have a pretty decent market right now. The market's back down to 47 for the Fear and Greed Index. The Clarity Act has been pretty stagnant, however. Bitcoin's at 79,882. XRP's at $1.39. Been staying there pretty solidly. But we have a lot of big news in crypto, right? The market is basically waiting on the Clarity Act. If we already know that, we've been covering the Clarity Act, to a limited degree. And we've been basically trying to figure out when this thing is going to pass. It was supposed to pass this year in the month of April, never did. Now they're saying it could be marked up somewhere in May, this month in May. And if it's not May, then it will probably be in 2027, even to 2030 maybe. So Senator Cynthia Loomis said, the digital asset industry has waited long enough. Businesses are making decisions where to build right now. And without clear rules, too many will go overseas. We must get clarity done now. America's financial future depends on it. Yeah, 100%. And as we look at these other stories, again, Chief Investment Officer has officially unreleased analytic reports that expect XRP to hit $4,300, stated clearly in an interview in Las Vegas. That comes at the largest decentralized media token as on the XRP ledger. BXE token is now expanding effective May 8th. BXE token has a total supply chain of 490 million tokens. BXE currently sits at just 0.015 cents. BXE token traded on METS-C. So
and you're really doing
again,
12 times a
XRP,
minute.
could it hit
really
$4,300
hours
a
a
coin?
day. So how much XRP do you really need? Those are all basic questions that need to be answered for the velocity models. And that'll happen over time.
We're going to play this again. Computer's just being really slow.
Again, the questions we get from investors is, when's the price going to go up? That's what everybody. Well, the only way that we can figure that out, we have a 22-page paper that's not public yet. And again, it came between $5 and $4,300, depending on your timing and your use case.
$4,300 for XRP. That would be kind of crazy, wouldn't it?
And in velocity.
A lot of people say that's impossible because of market cap. I don't think that's impossible. I mean, look what happened with Bitcoin, right? I think the utility of XRP is far stronger than Bitcoin, although I do own some Bitcoin, just not a lot of it. I don't really have a lot of faith in Bitcoin because, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Who is this weird guy? Did he ever even really exist? Do we really know for sure? Who was this guy? It's like this figment, this imaginary character. It's like, how can you invest in something when you don't even know who the CEO of the company is that you're investing in, or the technology, whatever. We're supposed to trust Michael Saylor, who's probably going to default on a ton of loans if Bitcoin doesn't go up by basically speculative value by the entire opinions of the masses. I'm not completely against Bitcoin. I believe in the decentralization of Bitcoin. I believe in Bitcoin as a store of gold, but the issue is you can't really operate Bitcoin if you don't run it on the XRPL, technically. I mean, Bitcoin is extremely slow. It's like 7 transactions per second versus XRP that has 1,500 transactions per second, has payment utility, and it's cross-border payment. Bitcoin just is basically a store of gold. So you're just basically, you're hoping that the price will just go up. So who knows?
So if it takes 5 seconds to settle a transaction, how many XRP did that use? Can you really do it 12 times a minute? Can you really do that 24 hours a day? So how much XRP do you really need? Those are all basic questions that need to be answered for the velocity models. And that'll happen.
Yeah, and I think it will. You know, I think XRP has the potential of reaching at least, in this cycle, in this bull run, probably $8 to $20, I would guess. And then if it doesn't hit that, I believe it has the potential to reach anywhere from... I get out of that. There we go. I believe XRP does have a lot of potential, and I believe it will reach $8 to $20 probably this year, if there is some kind of bull run. And if it doesn't, I think it'll stay right where it's at, depending on the Clarity Act. Might maybe go up to $3 to $4 in that case if there's no Clarity Act. I do see a future for XRP, though. They already have Clarity as a commodity. They've already defeated the SEC in court. So a lot of big things are happening. They're acquiring companies. Lots of big things. XRP Treasury Evernorth files updated SEC documents ahead of the XRP unlisting. Ripple-backed XRP Treasury firm Evernorth has filed and updated a Form S-4 as it moves closer to NASDAQ debut. The firm plans to go public via merger with Amanda Acquisitions Corporation II. It holds over 473 million XRP. Man, that'd be nice. Forming the core of its strategy. The listing depends on the SEC clearance and shareholder approval. The company aims to build a large institutional XRP treasury. So, big news for XRP. XRP continues to get pretty good news as I see this entire Clarity Act kind of taking the rest of crypto down. Seems like XRP is going to end up being the winning side of all of this. But what do you guys think? Maybe I'm wrong. I think there's a lot of potential for crypto. I think crypto is going to end up paying off basically the entire U.S. national debt. I think that's going to be a big contributor to that. Sorry, everything's taking forever now. We're getting late into the stream, so our data is getting a little low. Running out of storage capacity. The U.S. is leading in digital assets, but lasting leadership requires legislation. We are all hands on deck to get clarity across the finish line and build a future-proof framework that supports innovation and solidifies America as the crypto capital of the world.
Regulation by enforcement and everything we've done at the regulatory level.
What happens if we don't get it before the midterms? Is it dead?
Well, I think the president has been very clear that the United States is going to be the crypto capital of the world. I think today it is the crypto capital of the world with Genius and the end of regulation by enforcement and everything we've done at the regulatory level. But it's really important we get legislation that locks that in. And so we've been all hands on deck pushing to get this done. We're hoping for a markup this month. Though,
right? We need action.
And hopefully next month we can get this on the floor for a vote and maybe ring in the 250th anniversary with some crypto legislation.
As Toby Keith once said, a little less talk and a lot more action. We need more action. Action speaks louder than words, right? This is how these things go. Everything's slow when it comes to finance, financial technology, or fintech, as you would call it. That's just, how it is. Meanwhile, El Salvador is basically a brand new country, and I'm so proud of what this man has done. Salvador President Nayib Bukele just completed another batch of 70 new state-of-the-art schools for his people. This is the man who left standards as a dictator. Over 250 are now under construction right now. The citizens and students flocked Bukele, thanking him. Yeah, I see this guy as a very messianic figure. Talk about a Christ-like figure. This dude completely took a country that was in the slums. It's people, the people of El Salvador, this is one of the most dangerous countries that used to exist. And because of this one man who was willing to stand against corruption and crime in the streets, who cared about his people, put his people first, this is how it is supposed to be. This is a true leader. Look at that man. That's my role model. This is how you do politics. That's how you do it. This is why you do politics, for the people. This is how you build a legacy. This man will build statues of a man for that. That's how you get statues made of you. Not in a form of idolatry, but in a form of, wow, this man did what nobody else was willing to do or could do. And he is such a good man, truly, if you listen to him talk. I see this man as definitely a savior type, a true hero. A true hero after the hearts of his own people. And if El Salvador can change their country and make their country great, absolutely no reason we can't do this in America. This is the future. This is what a holy earth looks like. This is what the future of America should look like. Really, obviously, maybe white people only. But, like, you know, look at that. Everybody's smiling. There's peace. One man did this, really. This is the same man who vowed to arrest all of the corrupt judges, and he audited his own political party to make sure there was no corruption. In all of the systems, he held them all accountable. And not only that, for the people he held accountable, the criminals, he actually he had a form of rehabilitation where these people are actually huge facilities where these people are actually, you know, dressed in clothes that aren't like orange jumpsuits and humiliating to the person who is imprisoned, but actually puts them in a position of rehabilitation where they're actually building things, they're doing something productive, they're working, and so they have true purpose and meaning. And they're not out on the streets committing crime and robberies and rapes and those kind of things, right? And he's just building like hundreds of these facilities. A true hero. And every American should study this man. A man after the hearts of his own people. 100%. Took the slums of El Salvador and turned it into a golden place to live. Clean streets, safe streets for mothers and children to walk on. All of these things, so important for the future. So we'll check out some breaking news now, or we'll check out any other bookmarks. We'll probably cover more of these tomorrow. We're getting close to the end of this stream. Lots of big news that ended up coming out over the weekend. We'll cover more of Donald Trump's assassination attempt with Cole Thomas Allen, kind of how that's kind of cooking. A lot of big things developing, right? And so ultimately, lots of huge developments. But we'll cover more of this tomorrow. And at the end of the day, be sure to support goldsharkmedia.com, support this channel, Ecker Geopolitics, like, share, comment, subscribe. And if you want to grow your business, you want to become you want to grow your business with leads, AI, CRM. That's kind of what Gold Shark Media offers. Website's just popping up a little slow here. Again, we're kind of getting close to the end of the stream. Of course, it's not going to load. No problem. Yeah, goldsharkmedia.com. Are you an agency? Well, Gold Shark Media AI offers you speed to lead flow directly into your pipeline so you can respond in minutes. AI summaries, Kanban pipelines, prospecting workspace, follow-up tasks, review capture, ROI reporting, mislead alerts, and admin controls. You also have white label SaaS, and these are just some of our clients that we've actually worked with over the past couple of years now, and it's gone pretty well. People love the service. They like what they're getting out of it. $79 a month gives you access to the CRM pipeline, follow-up task reminders, per lead activity timeline, speed to lead tracking, invoices and payment requests, all of that. Client workspaces with portal document sharing. And then if you pay for the $497 a month plan, or you could just pay the annual subscription too. The annual subscription just allows you to pay for it one time off. But again, paying for that monthly fee, that $497 a month, you get everything in Pro. You get the white label, which means you can just brand on every client-facing page, your brand on every client-facing page. Multi-location CRM management from one account, full audit logs, and compliance control, dedicated onboarding and setup call if you need it. Daily owner digest, email, revenue recap, 8 a.m. And then again, that comes with everything else in the starter plan as well. So you're getting everything that you need to really run your business in one place. Book a demo. If you want a free demo, goldsharkmedia.com. And if you want to work with me in real estate, please feel free to do that as well. Work with me in real estate. I'll help you grow your business. Grow your business. I'll help you accomplish your next real estate deal, right? So follow Brendan Ecker Realty, and we'll get you started on your next real estate deal. This is just kind of what I built up. We're kind of new to the EXP game, but I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to get back into real estate. I think real estate's one of the best businesses somebody can be in today. And ultimately, I think it's one of the best ways to really make yourself a powerful force in the current economy today. Be sure to buy my book as well, How I Made My Door My Office, because Experiences of a Collegiate Student Athlete and Entrepreneur. This was published on my birthday just a few years ago, but it's only $5. It's really cheap for you and has 5-star reviews, but really good. It's all about my time as a NCAA student athlete, right before I became a cop and all of that stuff, and college sports, how I played football and baseball at the same time, really how I navigated it all. And if you want to work with me on any business projects, then just hit up the Calendly link in the link below in the description, and we'll talk. Let's talk business. Inquire directly with Brendan Ecker, entrepreneur, AI systems architect, realtor, for high-level strategy, deal flow, and revenue growth. This call is designed for serious individuals, founders, investors, and operators looking to scale business revenue with AI, automation, and lead generation systems, execute real estate acquisitions, investments, and luxury property deals. That's where I focus on. Michigan real estate agent, right? Build or optimize digital infrastructure, website, funnels, CRM, software. Explore partnerships, sponsorships, and media opportunities. You want to collab on a podcast? Let's talk. Or you could leverage content, branding, and distribution for maximum visibility and ROI. I'm the founder and CEO of Gold Shark Media AI, specializing in AI-driven marketing systems, outbound deal flow, and scalable business infrastructure. On this call, we'll break down your current position and bottlenecks, immediate opportunities for revenue growth, strategic execution plans across business, real estate, and media, high leverage next steps tailored for your goals. It's not necessarily a sales call unless you want it to be. And at the end of the day, we're really just meeting to collab, and we're talking about ideas of the future. So you want to talk with me, you want to work with me on something, you need help working on your own business, then again, click the link in the description below. With that being said, that's all I have for this stream. Be sure to stay prudent, stay powerful, stay wealthy, and I'll see you tomorrow. We'll cover more of the breaking news, and stay safe out there. See you later.